What's up, y'all? It is Kierra, the woman, and welcome to another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast where we discuss all things womanhood and provide weekly doses of self-love, empowerment, and insight to the mental and spiritual being of you as a woman, no matter where you are in your womanhood journey. Okay, all right. So I feel like, this is, it seems like I'm always saying that something is my favorite topic. I don't think I've said that already on this podcast. This is only episode 2. And I'm still a little bit excited if y'all can't tell. But yeah, I done hit the mic stand and I hope y'all didn't hear that. Um, so yeah, self-care. Therapy and self-care is the title of this pod or the title of this episode. I don't know why I keep calling the episodes pod. I'm a new podcaster, so this first season for y'all who are listening, I am working out the kinks, and I'm so grateful that y'all are able to listen through me working out the kinks. So yeah, anyway, so therapy and self-care. Question: how do you define self-care? And of course, I'm going to answer the question, but it's going to be, y'all know I like to self-define and make up my own definitions for shit because this is my podcast and I can do what I want. Because it's my podcast. If you don't like my definitions, don't use them. Create your own or go by Google's definition. It doesn't matter to me. But here on the ASMS podcast, I'm going to define these terms in the way that I would for myself, and I'm sharing them with you guys. So, self care to me is defined by specific and devoted time dedicated to literally only you. Time devoted and dedicated to only me if I'm speaking like for myself. So this means no children, no friends, no family, not even the damn animals. Like if you got a dog, put the dog outside. If the weather is safe, I don't support animal cruelty. Clarity. And if you got a hamster, put the little hamster in the wheel. If you got the cat, put the cat in wherever y'all put cats. I don't know. Cats usually be on their own anyway. I don't know nobody cat that. Well, okay, let me stay on topic. There go that rambling and that babbling again. I'm gonna get better, I promise. Anyways, the point in saying all of that is self-care is literally the time you spend with yourself, by yourself, and for yourself, doing the things that you unapologetically had to slow down a little bit saying that one. Things that you unapologetically love to do, free of fear and judgment. So, of course, different mothers and women in general have different situations, and finding time to have self-care is difficult for some and not even a thought or a task for others. So, speaking to single mothers like myself, like raising my kid on my own, just me and him in the house, just whatever, the woman who I'm speaking to, the woman who is there and it's just her and her kid or kids. That is who I'm speaking to right now when I say these next couple of words. We have to create the time. And I'm only a mother of one, and I have to create the time. So a single mother of multiple kids, I can only imagine. But you have to create the time, babe. You have to. And it's important to commit to this time and also feel good about indulging in this time because you deserve it and you need this. You have to take care of your take care of your first mama. You have to take care of yourself first, mama. You have to. You have to make sure that as a woman, you are taking care of yourself as a woman first, because you were a woman first before you became a mother. So you have to create this time, commit to this time, and feel good about this time that you're spending with yourself, because it will do a great work in you. I promise. And honestly speaking, it took me a time. It took me a time. It took me a minute, and it took me some time. That's what I was trying to say, or that's how that got jumbled up, because I was trying to say two things at once, rambling. Anyways, so honestly speaking, it did take me some time to get to that point, simply because mom guilt is a real thing. And I did, like, as I mentioned before, I did, when it was hard for me to get into this, I had lost myself. So I didn't even really want to spend time with myself, because I wasn't in a space where I was loving myself. So, you know, being a mother and simultaneously being in a situationship that God didn't ordain me to be in, made creating this time a little bit more difficult. So now that I am in a different space, I can honestly say that I realize how much of a positive difference, it sounds like I said different to me, but difference it made in my self-esteem, my self-confidence, and my self-perspective, like the perspective I had of myself, in case self perspective is not really a word. I just wanted to clarity. Anyways, so I started to value myself more, because I spent time and dedicated the same attention that I dedicated to my kids or to my family or to my job. I dedicated some time and spent some time with myself and dedicating some attention to myself. And like I said, it's the same attention that I was giving out. And I realized I had to pour back into myself as well. And it made me easy, like it made me easy for us to think that we can substitute that pouring into yourself with other people, like pouring into you. Like, of course, if you're in a relationship or whatever, or if you're pouring out, you want to be able to have somebody pour back into you. That's understandable, but nothing can replace the feeling of you pouring into yourself and filling your own cup. And here's why: because if you're dedicated to filling your own cup and pouring into yourself, then you know without the slightest doubt in your mind, no matter what the conditions are or what the circumstances are, your cup will remain full and you will remain whole, because you're the one filling your cup and you're the one keeping yourself whole. It'll also it's also beneficial, because if the person that you're wanting, or who's usually, or you're expecting to pour into you, the moment that they decide that they don't want to anymore, or the moment that they decide they don't have to, or simply that they can't today, it won't affect you, because you've already filled your cup. So whatever feeling that you do, anything that somebody does for you should just be in addition to what you already do for yourself. So I think that pouring into yourself generally is like priority. I think that's first, because ain't nobody gonna have you like you got you, baby. And that's just on period, on exclamation point, on hyphen, on semicolon, on all that stuff that y'all be saying, So yeah, have yourself first. And I think that's that on that, honestly. But y'all know I had another question. So, is therapy self care? I want to know y'all thoughts on that. That's a question that I'm posing only because I asked myself, and now I'm asking y'all, is therapy self care? I looked at the benefits of therapy and decided that for me, it was exactly that. So, fun fact, quote unquote, I'm putting my air quotes around fact because this is a fun fact about therapy that I made up myself. So, yes, I am using the word fact lightly because it's a fact in my own journey and on this podcast. Maybe you all can concur and we can agree on it and put it out into the world and make it a big fact. And like, because if we stand on it and vouch for it together on the internet, then we can make it a fact in the real world. Because it don't take long for you to put something on the internet before it become a fact. All we all just got to stand on it. That's all. If we got numbers, then because it's the algorithm. Okay, let me stop. Anyways, so okay, let's really back in, Key. Let's really back in. All right, so the fun fact, because that's what I was talking about. Fun fact: when you go to therapy, when you go into therapy for healing and seeking growth, and you actually want to do the work without judgment, and you have like this strong want to get to know yourself and why you are the way you are and think the way you think and behave the way that you behave the way that you behave. um when you do it, when you go into therapy that way with those intentions, when you go into therapy intentionally with wanting to know that stuff, it makes it so much easier to fall in love with yourself, flaws and all, in the process. Do you hear me? When you go into it actually wanting to do the work, this is the fun fact. This is the gem. This is the jewel. When you go into therapy not being judgmental of yourself, and like you are seeking growth and you're seeking healing and you really do want to understand yourself, and unpack the trauma or just the things that you've been through in your life, it makes it it makes it easier to fall in love with yourself, one, flaws and all. It also makes it enjoyable to go because you're actually embracing the process. So I'm only sharing my experience, though. I'm only sharing my experience with y'all. So, if therapy is different for you, then I'm sorry. I want to. I pray that it gets better for you. So, but yeah, therapy is self care, and the best part about it for me is that right after a therapy session with my therapist, or even if I'm doing work, like, or even like afterwards, like if she give me homework to do and I do the little homework, or I just decide to work in the little book that she gave me, or I just decide to like uncover some things myself, I get to indulge in the things I absolutely love right afterwards, which means more self-care. So, you know, I either forgive or celebrate, and sometimes even both at the same time, myself for my growth and or the work that I've completed for that session, for that day. Like after my therapy session, I'll you know, kind of go back over it after I leave and or after I get off the phone with her. I'll go back over it and just analyze myself, forgive myself, or celebrate myself, or both. And then of course go do something that I love. And I just think that that's the beautiful thing about therapy, is that it's like two self-care doses in one. So yeah, here at the ASMS podcast, we encourage therapy. So for those of you who, like myself, was once on government assistance, check out Therapy for Black Girls and set up therapist interviews with multiple therapists that specialize in the places you want and need help in. This, of course, takes for you to take the first step in the process and admitting that sometimes it is you, and that there is something that you do want to change about yourself. And you just might have to realize that you are the common denominator in some of the things that are going on in your life, babe. And it's okay. It's okay. At least you know now. And the first step to change is deciding that a change needs to happen. So, yeah. I feel like this is a good place to stop, and we can get into the last 10 minutes of our episode. And y'all already know I am pulling a card from the self love deck. Shout out to Ace Metaphor and the Tonight's Conversation podcast. And this question is: what is the biggest obstacle in the way of you going to the next level, and how can you hurdle it? So I'm going to answer that question, of course. The biggest obstacle in my way was that I was not going to therapy. And the way that I'm hurdling it is now going to therapy. So yes, answer that question in the Facebook group, of course. If you want to answer more intimately, answer in the comment section if there's a comment section available to you all. And the call to action, of course, is post your self-care activities or self-care routines in the Facebook group, and recommend some self-care activities to the community. And yeah, I really enjoyed this topic. I'm glad you all were here to listen to it. If you got to the end, I am very happy. And yeah, I am going to continue the conversation with you all in the Facebook group, and I will see you all there. The credits are rolling now. Thank you all for joining me this week on another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast. The links to all of our info will be in the description of this pod, and any other pod streaming service that you're listening to, it will be available in the description below. Remember to join the Facebook group, the private Facebook group. If you are a listener, and if you are a subscriber, go in there. There's a community there for you, community of women, and yeah, join the Facebook group. Subscribe. Oh yeah, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. That comes out on Sundays at 10 a.m. and it's called Real Success Through Perseverance, Letters of Legacy. So it's just, like I said, a newsletter, and it gives you a weekly affirmation and a weekly scripture and a video to carry you throughout the week until we meet on the podcast on Thursday. So yeah, stay engaged, interact with us, follow us on Instagram. And when you get in the Facebook group, introduce yourself. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening to another episode and interacting with us and joining us this week. Going forward, throughout this week, remember to take care of yourself, ladies. Love yourself, forgive yourself, and celebrate yourself on the daily, on the hourly, on the minutely, on the secondly, baby. And remember, toast to yourself, even if you by yourself. Just because you by yourself don't mean you alone, and just because you alone don't mean that you lonely. Love your company, and love to spend time with yourself, because at the end, ourself is all we have. So take care of yourself, and I will see y'all next week.